Well, welcome back. Got a couple of special guests today. We've got Scott, and I feel like I've always known you as Rob. Is that what you prefer, Rob?
Rob, I love going by Rob. Definitely.
Okay, I thought so. I thought I hadn't dreamt that up, and I was like, "Is Robert on the on the screen here?" And I'm gonna be rude, but Scott and Rob from the Hose Company. We're excited to have you guys. Thanks for hopping on and chatting.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Thank you.
And then of
Well,
course I have my partner in crime, Ryan Cash, here as well. So, guys, I think one of the places I love to start in these conversations, because I really don't know a lot about the story. Tell me a little bit about. So let's start with like just a snapshot. If someone doesn't know who the Hose Company is, which I can't imagine that being the case, give me a quick snapshot on that is, and then I kind of want to hear like where it all got started and like where these roots are. But give me a quick snapshot of what that is today.
yeah, I'll start from the beginning. So the host company started in 2013, initially to manufacture hydraulic hose for the pile driving and deep foundation industry. We saw that as a niche industry to start doing hose manufacturing. We did that, and we service North America's largest manufacturer of deep foundation equipment. We began servicing their customers, their competitors, and other folks in the drilling industry. Um, we named the company the Hose Company, right? So customers made the assumption that we could get them any kind of hose, or we could manufacture any kind of hose. So we have manufacturing partners we work with, as well as distribution partners, and we have grown into industrial and pressure wash hoses. Scott came on board in 2020 and really took our pressure wash product and helped evolve it into what it is today. I'll let Scott talk more on that in a minute. Um, but at this point, we are looking into two locations, looking to service both the West Coast of the United States and Eastern United States. And we are very proud to be in this space with pressure washing and soft washing. We've done things a little bit differently. I'll let Scott talk on that as well. Um, but this has started kind of as a grassroots social campaign with uh, connecting with contractors and pressure wash distributors on what the need was in the industry. We've done our best to fill that void, and what makes us different than everybody else in the industry is we're fluid. We're constantly evolving and changing the product, introducing new products. It's what makes us different. Scott is at all the shows and really interacts with everybody.
Yeah.
Now, when you named it the Hose Company, Ryan, I didn't mean to cut you off, but if you named it
No,
the
go
Hose
ahead.
Company, did you always have a vision that you guys would go broader than that initial market, or did that just be a happy coincidence?
Happy coincidence, to be truthfully honest with you. I mean, hydraulic hose. When you see the hoses we manufacture, most of them are very large, very heavy. We do production of like 50 and 100-foot hose assemblies. These things weigh up to 2,000 pounds. We send hoses on flatbed trucks that are dedicated delivery just by themselves. So to get into pressure washing, initially in our infancy in 2013, definitely was not the vision at the time.
Yeah.
What, and I'm just very curious of this because I love this and like all of how people kind of niche their companies down and make those decisions. What process did you go through to really determine that hydraulic hose for the drilling industry, for the pile driving, for those types of machinery was a good fit? I mean, did you just get like some information? You're like, oh, okay, we see a need here, or did you like go through a research process to like jump into that? I mean, what made you guys choose that?
So we were lucky enough that our partners actually own a very large construction manufacturing company, right? So they produce a lot of equipment. They were already facilitating millions of dollars worth of hose every year. So it was a really low risk entry into the hose business for them. And we've learned and grown. We learned from who her previous distributors were, of who we're buying from, and we always evolved to do something different and make something better. So again, and not to be off topic, but with pile driving, there's a lot of external elements on the hose, right? We had to get very aggressive with the outer cover, making it last. We've had to do superior things with the inner tube. All of that research, all of those trials and tribulations with that industry has translated into that Fierce Jet product, right? Everything we learned in construction with our product development, we've used all those tools to now service this industry. So did we seek out pressure washing in 2013? Absolutely not. But this is kind of how we evolved into this.
Now, how did you guys land? So this is kind of maybe a personal question for me because I'm just generally curious. How did you land in the small town of Matthews, North Carolina? So I don't know if Scott told you, I grew up in Matthews. That's my hometown. So I live in Washington State now. But so when I found out you guys are Matthews, like, oh, that's like your warehouse there is like half a mile from where I grew up. And so yeah. How did you end up in like small town North Carolina as opposed to like seeking out like a bigger market or like where? How did you land there?
Again, so what got us into this was the pile driving deep found industry. North America's largest manufacturer of deep foundation pile driving equipment happens to be right here in Matthews, North Carolina, right? So it made sense for us to be a very convenient source for them. Again, the amount of volume of hose production they're doing is very large, so it made sense. And my business partners actually live here. I moved here as well, so it made it a good place to be. Charlotte's a good spot. Travel wise, the sixth busiest airport. We're off I-85, so my sales team and shipping things logistically to the southeast and northeast are very convenient. So it's a great place for manufacturing and distribution.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you guys moved from that hydraulic world, make hydraulic hoses for the drilling world.
Yeah.
Was the move a kind of immediate into pressure washing? Did somebody just literally call you up one day and like, hey, can you guys do these kinds of hoses for us? Or how did all that come about?
So it was a pretty slow evolution. So like I said, we were called the hose company. So folks would come to us, and we have relationships with other hose manufacturers, such as Kuriyama and Dixon and NRP Jones, and folks who do other niche hose manufacturing. Most folks were in the industry we're looking for a gray non-marking hose. Most of what has been on the market has historically been a hydraulic hose that was gray, right? And that's kind of what is currently still on the market, and it's kind of what we have differentiated ourselves from right now. We had several large pressure wash manufacturers who are also in North Carolina approach us, asking us to manufacture pressure wash hose for them for their OEM machines. And so we did that, and literally we took, at the time, what our standard hydraulic hose, put a gray wrap on it, did some tweaks to it to make it have higher pressure, and that's what we sold. That grew into pressure wash distributors in Florida reaching out to us to want to sell the product or private label for them. And that's kind of how we got to the next step, right? That's when Scott came on board. And Scott kind of found a niche here, started going to huge convention, see the power clean, really grassroots with the WCR post groups online, even social media platforms, and started interacting with contractors on what are you looking for? Is it, people started telling Scott, well, we want a smooth cover. Can you keep the PSI with the smooth cover? Man, I'd like a one wire that would hold as much heat as the 2-wire hose. I would like, shorter bend restrictors that are more sturdy. I would like swivels that swivel, not too tight, not too loose. And we started evolving the product and testing manufacturing and started bringing it to market. And really, we would sell direct to end users back in 2020 and get feedback from these contractors, and to the point where it got overwhelming for us. There was a lot of positive response, and we started growing a distributor network to sell these hoses.
Well, then, yeah. So, Scott, how do you fit into this? Was your background like pressure washing
No,
or
man,
sales?
No, man. I was a bartender back home in Virginia Beach, and I wanted a way to get out of that industry, but 100% of my friends are in the industry, so it'd be really hard for me to do it. And Rob had asked me to come help him in 2020, March of 2020, at a convention called the ConExpo, which is the largest construction convention in the United States. Happens every 3 years in Vegas. Had no idea anything about hoses, fittings, nothing. And I said, yeah, sure, I'll come help. And I can pretty much talk my way through anything enough to keep somebody tuned in to where I can grab somebody that knows what they're talking about to stay over right at the booth. So that's kind of what I did. And by the third day, me and Rob were having lunch, and I told him, I said, "Dude, I think I could do this." And he goes, "Yeah." And I said, "I think so." And then COVID happened. COVID happened. I was already moved to Charlotte, and I couldn't get. He wanted to give me an offer, but couldn't because we didn't know what was going to happen with COVID. So I was pretty much jobless for 2 months. And then May of 2020, I finally got an offer for him, and I came in, and there is a lot when you know nothing about this stuff. There are hundreds and thousands of different kind of fittings and different kind of style hoses and all these things. So what I did was I just picked something that nobody else in the company was really touching, and I just dove into that, and that became the pressure washing. And I tried, me and Rob worked really hard, worked together to help me get caught up on what we were trying to do. And then like you said, I started getting involved in these groups, selling one hose at a time. And you could tell them when I'd sell one hose, I was ecstatic. Like, oh man, I sold $100 hose, man. We're out here, like you said, it grew really fast. And one of the things that I can say that makes us different from everybody else is Rob has been to the factories. He has been to India. He has been to China. He has stepped foot where all these other guys that are making these hoses most likely have not been there. So they don't know how these things run, how these things work, right? And what we wanted to do is make a product, something that's different from what everybody was doing, right? And that's kind of how we evolved this product. And within, 5 or 6 months, it really was coming too much. And what was happening was we were starting to get some pull in the industry, and our name was growing. I rebranded the brand. It still was FierceJet, but I added the logos and I added all this stuff, to make it cool, as they say, cool looking. And we got the gray smooth cover right, and we were able to, we use a different steel and a different compound than anybody else on the market, pretty much. That's what makes us different. And what happened was we started getting so much, people started talking about us in the industry that they were going to where they buy their stuff from and saying, "Hey, can you get this in?
Yeah.
Can you bring this in?" So we started getting calls from the big distributors, and that's kind of how we went separate from the end user to now the 60 distributors we have on, in our profile. It's been a blessing, man. It's been really good. It's really fun to see this product that was sitting on the shelf 3.5 years ago to where it's become now.
Yeah. Do you have like a mindset of, so one of the things Brad and I talked about before we brought you guys on to talk, we said like, hey, we both know Scott, and it seems like he is the guy that goes out of his way to take care of people. Like we both commented like, hey, you're the guy. It's like, hey, if you need a hose, you're gonna get in the truck and drive it over there. Or you're always meeting people and talking to people. Do you have like a built-in like philosophy? Is that just part of your personality, or is that like a decision you made of like, hey, this is how I want to go and like talk with contractors, this is how I want to go talk with distributors?
Well, I mean, we were trying to introduce a new product that's something different from anything else. So I wanted to make sure that I was always available to answer the questions or talk with. I mean, I still get phone calls from end users. If my distributors can't handle it, I have them give them my cell phone number and I talk to them to see what's going on, what do they need, what's wrong, what's happening. You know what I mean? So I want to stay relevant to where me and Rob can go and back to the drawing board and say, we need to change this. Like we're making changes right now, actually, because of some things we were hearing, and we said, okay, well, we need to do this to make this even better. And again, that's, like I said, that's nothing that makes us different, because these other companies are just buying whatever hose they can and selling it. They're not changing it. They're not evolving. They're not doing these things that me and Rob try to do. And that's why we spend so, if you go out to any of these shows, tell me another hose company that's out there, really.
Yeah, no,
that's what we do. We don't do pressure washing machines. We don't do tips. We don't do this. We specialize in this, and that's what. And our focus is on this, in this brand.
So what's it like? So yeah, maybe if you can describe the process, like what is the process of bringing a new product in the market and breaking into somewhere where I'm assuming you, before you kind of got involved in everything, you were probably not very well known in the industry at all. And what's that look like to break into a new industry and find distributors, what does that process look for you guys from like start to finish? If you can
We
kind of, yeah.
we kind of pick and choose who we really want to deal with, right? We don't want we like being able to meet. I go to every distributor that we have on our list. I've probably been to their store at least one time. We don't, there's a lot of people out there that try different things to try and see what their end users will try and reach out to us just to see what their people are paying for their hoses. So we really have to pay attention to who we deal with, because people do try a lot of things, and I do a background check. We look at their social media. We look to see who they're following, what they're actually doing out there on social media. I mean, we'll deep dive. Me and Rob both will deep dive into these things before we even give up any kind of information. And then me and Rob decide if we want to move forward as company or not. Like vetting them, this is what it is.
Yeah.
Trying to get as much information as possible.
Yeah, Ryan. So as far as like when you ask about product development, right? So a lot of that has been, I believe we were the first to introduce a true soft wash hose. When I say soft wash hose, is a lot of the other companies, they have an ag hose on the market. It works for soft wash. It is resistant to sodium hypochlorite, right? We do production specifically for bleach to go through these hoses. A lot of these are multi-purpose hoses for air or pesticides where they'll create gas. We marketed this. We developed this strictly for soft wash. We actually make that product here in the United States. A lot of our distributors approach us with, can you make a garden hose? Can you make, polybraid? We are currently working in development. So as our distributors are selling our brand of pressure wash hose and soft wash hose, they like the product. They like the way we do business. They like our manufacturing process, the way we work with our distributors. So they're the ones that have been coming to us asking for new development. And that's where we go to the drawing board and we see what's on the market and how can we make what's currently on the market better. And that's how we've been doing this for the last 3 years.
I mean, you're never going to be perfect, man. I mean, this industry is tough. Mm-hmm. These guys are out there in 110-degree heat, and things are getting beat up all day and every day. So there's always going to be some things out there that don't work or it doesn't last as long or whatever. But we try to stay involved and try to change as the industry grows. We try to change with it instead of just sticking to one thing and saying here.
One of the things I've heard both of you guys kind of talk about so far is this process of going kind of that boots on the ground, getting feedback from end users, and then implementing that back into your product.
Yep.
What does that make things like a lot more challenging for you guys? I mean, it's different. Like if it's a service company and they're like, "Hey, people are saying we should, do this or do that." It's pretty easy to change. You guys are dealing with a international manufacturing process.
We have great relationships with every single one of our distributors. I mean, some of them have been to Rob's house to swim in the pool. You know what I mean? It's who we are. And so if end users are talking about this and this and this, we'll reach out to them. And as a team, a group, we decide if it's going to work or if it's not, if these changes need to be made, what they think about it, because they're the ones that are actually selling it and promoting it. We do too, but it's their thing. You know what I mean? So we listen. We try to include all of our distributors in anything that we do.
A good example, I think Scott he'll definitely remember this, is huge convention 2021 in Atlanta. So we took our top 6 distributors. We took them all to dinner, and we all sat at the same table, right? Some brought their kids, and we asked for feedback on the current product. We showed them revisions of product that we want to start introducing, and got feedback right there at the table. And it was, for us, a very scary moment, right? You've got your top 6 distributors, everyone's there, and it was fantastic. And we try to do that as much as possible every year. We couldn't do it this year just because, I was actually working someone else's booth. But this is how we've grown this, man. It's pretty.
And actually, at that dinner, we had a new product that we wanted to introduce, and we gave all of them a sample and told them to go beat the crap out of it. Tell us what you think. Yeah. And that's how we've got to the hose we are now is by doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's got to be a scary concept as a manufacturer, bringing in a bunch of competitors to sit at a dinner table together and talk.
Well, and that's what kind of makes us different. We have built this distributor network as an actual network. They all help each other out. If I have one of my distributors in the Northeast call me and say, "Hey, Scott, I am having a hard time getting engines," or "I'm having a hard time," I can say, "Hey, let me reach out to one of my distributors in the South and see if they can't take care of you," so everybody can still make a little bit of money. There's no competitive really in our distributor network. They all help each other out, and that's what I've tried to build, and that's why that dinner was one of the first acts of us doing that. And it's been great. It's been great. They all help each other out.
And I don't know if you guys remember, that was the first time I met you guys.
Yes, he was there. He was
Yeah. And I thought one thing that really made an impression on me was that dinner was not just, "Hey, I want to buy you dinner and here, give me some information." It's like this exchange. I really like this cooperative environment that created around the distributors. And I felt like, and I don't know how planned this was, Scott. I think you said something about it that night, but to create an environment that encouraged the distributors to get to know each other better.
Yep.
There's actually more benefit for everyone if we have cooperative relationships. And I just thought that was like the coolest thing, because I don't see anybody else doing that. And I mean, was that like a strategy that you had going into it? Like, if I can get these guys together, I think some good can come out of it for them too.
We were just coming out of COVID too, if I recall.
Yeah, it was a little bit, because we have the benefit of Rob knowing the factories and seeing what's going to kind of come happen in the future. So we got to see what was getting ready to happen with people not being able to get product. Things were going to be taking. At one point, we can get a container in pretty much 3.5 months. At one point, it was taking almost 8 months. I mean, it was changing like that, and we saw it coming. So I wanted to be able to build something to where everybody knows everybody, and everybody can help each other out. Some person might be able to get one thing that one can't. The other person might be able to get something they can't, and it kind of worked out that way. And that was kind of the benefit of having Rob, because he can see that stuff coming and what was happening, because we do buy containers of things and have them shipped, across the water. Yeah. So we saw it coming, and we wanted to brace everybody for that.
So in this time, and I could probably make guesses at this, but I want to hear y'all's take on it. What has been the biggest challenge, in this history of growing the hose business, and anywhere from the beginning to now, or maybe in the pressure washing, I leave that up to you guys. But what's been the biggest challenge in that?
Go ahead. That's the easy one.
I mean, for us, it's been, and listen, I keep my business partners, employees, friends always tell me it's a good problem to have. Forecasting the growth. I mean, the growth in the last year, and this isn't bragging. I mean, it has been very, very large. And so keeping up with inventory, keeping up with production, expanding staff, keeping up with the growth, right? I mean, it's not normal to grow a hose brand this quickly, all right? And so that a big challenge for us has been inventory, and then forecasting the customer needs, right? So for instance, we started just assembling 50 to 100 footers and bulk hose and helping our distributors make the hose. Well, their customers, they want 200 footers. So we have to start producing 200 footers, and then 150 feet. And so our SKUs have grown, right? We want to enable and service our distributors and customers. And the amount of space that we need here in Charlotte has grown. Again, all great problems to have, but it's been very stressful, and we got caught behind in production about 2-3 months ago. So that was very stressful. But yeah, forecasting future needs for our distributors and our customers, and at the rate of new distributors who are wanting to come on board, we welcome them and we're excited to service them. But we got an influx early this year. So that was scary.
It was a lot very fast, and the stress me and Rob are going through trying to get it. It's not something we can buy down the street, right? If we got to change something, it's 3.5 months, 4 months down, so that's where, and you can tell your customers all you want, but they're going to call you every day wondering where it's at, You know what I mean? And that's kind of where the stress came. But we overcame it, and we've been able to bulk up big time, and that was our plan.
So what would you say has been like the biggest, I don't know, like catalyst for that growth then? Is it like, are you finding, like, how does somebody find the Fierce Jet hose, or how does somebody find the Hydraulic Flex hose, or like, are people getting word on social media? Does it seem to be more from distributors or from word of mouth, or what is kind of the driving force on like creating this like explosive growth then? Or is it just Scott's everywhere and he goes to every shit? Yeah.
Shopping everywhere is a big one. And
It's all of the above, man. Like I said, man, it's been a blessing to be able to work with these distributors, especially off the start. Getting some of the bigger ones that are out there doing these videos and YouTube channels and all this stuff. And again, like I said, you can't please everybody. It's impossible. But the word of mouth from the end users has been great. So you'll get a bad one every once in a while, but that's just something you got to deal with because we are in the hose game. Some people will expect your hose to last forever, but they're not going to tell you it's getting ran over 77 times a day. You know what I mean? So it's kind of the things we have to deal with. And me and Rob have tried to.
We have a visitor.
Yeah, me and Rob have tried to stay off the internet as much as possible. So it doesn't stress us out as much when we do get, a person that's not happy or whatever, or we'll try to reach out to that person and say, hey, what's going on? What's happening? But yeah, it's been a blessing with the distributors we've had, and some of them have been with us since almost day one. And they are some of the bigger guys, and they do a lot of promotion, and we do a lot of promotion with them. We go out last year at the huge convention. We, paid for half the booth for Panhandle just to go hang out with them and sell the hose for them and work to answer questions. It's just something we do, and I think people notice that we're always out there, and people meet me and Rob, and they actually get to talk to the person making the hose rather than whoever the other company buys the hose from. They don't get to see that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like, and just from what I've observed, it seems like you guys focus the majority of your promotion on like, how do I support my distributor's promotion more than you guys promoting directly? Is that
certain things make sense for us to have a booth, and then some don't. Because of our target, right? So if it makes sense for us to have a booth, that means there's going to be a lot of other distributors there we haven't spoken to or we haven't talked to, or something where we can make contact, because we do not sell to the end user, right? And that's who's walking around for the most part at these, at these places. So we'll team up with one of our distributors and go into the booth with them and help them. We tried it. We did one last year. We did one this year with C3, and it's worked out very well. And at this point now, people pretty much know me and Rob. The end users do. You know what I mean? So we're out there. We're out there. Even the smaller, some of these smaller trend things I've been to. And just to show face, and if I can answer any questions, I can. It costs us a lot of money to do that, but we feel that's important.
Do you guys carry that? Sorry, I was going to say, do you carry that same like philosophy to other industries as well? Because obviously you're more than just pressure washing hose, right?
Yeah.
You have all your hydraulic. Like, are you doing the same networking and building in every industry you guys are in?
Yeah. So Scott and I, we're not as much in the pressure wash, but we're in the trash industry. So we support a lot of Waste Connections. We go to a big show called Waste Expo every year. It's flip-flops from New Orleans to Las Vegas. Scott's going to Las Vegas for the show this year. I'm actually going at the same time. There's a pile driving and construction show in Dallas, so we're going to split up and try to make that work. Scott also has plenty of trash mafia customers. That's a whole different industry.
I do.
And it's another fun one to service, and we are grassroots there as well. We want to help that guy who owns 10, 15 trash trucks, needs to service himself, doesn't need downtime when he's trying to pick up dumpsters, and We have folks in North Jersey and New York City, and I mean that's what you're imagining that looks like is exactly what it looks like, and it's exciting. And so Scott's heavily involved in that as well. Me on the pile driving side, I deal with very large construction contractors that own the pile driving equipment. I produce the OEM hoses that are actually on the unit. It's a pretty easy sell for us. It's you already own the product. Do you like it? Do you want another one? It's kind of that helps us. And then there's some dealer network with the construction equipment, so people don't really understand that we make the product. So I have to, explain that and make the connection. And that's another unique industry with personalities and these three that I just talked about, the pressure washing, waste management, and pile driving has really been our niche. Those three industries, and very unique trade shows, personalities. It's fun.
We like to be in industries where we can go out with our customers and drink with them, and hang out with them, and have a good time. We can be ourselves.
I was going to say, but okay.
We are not. I'm saying we are not like super corporate-y, right? So we like to have that, that kind of thing, and it just makes it easier. It makes it, we don't want to ever treat anybody like they're just a number, right? I'm never gonna sell them one thing and then never talk to them again, right? I'm always going to try and be involved, and that's what makes us really, really different from everybody else. I don't wait for them to. I want to know how I can help them.
Well, I think that's an important thing. Brad and I talk a lot about like the value of authenticity in business. Also, like if you go out and if you show up in your suit and tie, and like you may have one, you may not, but if you show up to a pressure washing show and you have that like fake appearance, no one's going to listen to you. No one's going to care. They want you to be who you are, and they want you to connect genuinely with people, and I think that's what drives a lot of sales and a lot of your distribution network and all these things that are coming together. I think it goes to show just, hey, you are who you are. You're not pretending to be someone different,
right?
And authenticity drives all of that, and I think that's really cool. I think it's super evident in the interactions we have had, and from everyone I've talked to. I think everyone knows that, yeah, you'll go out and you'll hang out with them, and it's not like a forced fake conversation you're trying to have.
Right.
You'll talk real.
We are who we are. That's why we kind of like to choose who we deal with, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We want to have that same feedback.
Mm-hmm.
I and you don't have to answer this question, but I'm just kind of curious. So you guys got started in an industry where your involvement in the industry is an OEM, which is a very different relationship than the grassroots type world of pressure washing. And it sounds like, and also in waste management, is very related in the fact, a lot of owner operators out there. I know we live in a rural place, and we have the guy that's got a few trash trucks that does our trash,
That's our guy. That's our guy.
If you could choose, as you guys, and I'm sure there's plans down the road, I'm sure that there'll be more expansion for you guys. Do you guys prefer the like grassroots, or do you like the kind of security of like the OE? And what's your perspective on that? I
personally like the again, you're talking about going with a little guy compared to a big box store, right? Is that what you're trying to say?
However you interpret it. I just imagine the worlds are very different in how you service those two types of market.
Go ahead, Rob. This is you. Yeah.
I gotta say grassroots. It's the people. It's the relationships. I mean, I went down to Huge and I sat for 2 days in C3's booth. I stood for 2 days in C3's booth. I interacted with my customers, their customers, and and talked about our industry, what could be better, what's great about it, what's not great about it. They had real conversations with real people, right? And listen, I have some multi-billion-dollar companies that are my customer, and love that, respect that. But they don't have the time or energy to kind of put that at that level in, right? And again, those guys are selling hoses, probably 3 or 4 chains down before they're really interacting with that end user. So for me personally, and not to sound corny, but I truly enjoy talking to people who take my product, use it every day, and have feedback. I mean, what's better than that?
Right.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. All right, so last question for you guys. Looking forward, and maybe next 12 months, or maybe further out. What are you guys most excited about? What's the next big thing for the host company?
We're working right now. I've been talking about it with Rob for the last year. Um, I want to get out to the West Coast. West Coast is I think an untapped market for us, and that being because of distribution out there. It's very hard for us to ship and costs money, and I'm in Rob's ear for probably the last year and a half actually about we need to get out there, we need to get out there, we need to get out there. Well, we've been in the talks now in the past few months of actually making it happen, and we're going to be actually heading out. Without giving out too much information, we're going to be heading out the next month or two over there to see what's going on, what we can do, if there's even a thing for us out there. But like I said, we can now, we can ship direct to the East Coast, and we'll be able to ship direct to the West Coast with our containers. So it saves a lot of money in shipping.
Yeah.
And we also manufacture our softwash hoses in Texas, so that makes it very convenient.
Yep.
To help us out. But we, one thing I will add is a lot of our distributors do a lot of custom work, and they sell to a lot, as you guys know, skid builders, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the guys who build skids, they need customization. They might need a 200-foot hose. They might need a 230-foot hose. They might need 299 feet hose, whatever works for them, right, for what they're building. So we have had relationships in the past with companies who manufacture crimpers. We've serviced a lot of these too. We've put a lot in place for a lot of our distributors. I am currently working on manufacturing our own crimper. So we will have our own crimper to go with the Fierce Jet. Our distributors will easily be able to take our Fierce Jet hose, our Fierce Jet fittings, crimp whatever custom length they want for the hose. Something right now that makes us different in the market, and it's going to make us even better than we are. So that's another thing that makes us unique, and looking forward to having that introduced to our distributor group hopefully in the next 6 to 8 months.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for the chat. I love your story. It sounds like a lot of exciting things in the future, and I will look forward to watching that. Is there a way that you want people, like, where people go to thehostcompany.com, your website? Is there somewhere else for people to interact with you and learn more about you guys? Or how to find a distributor, for that matter?
Yep. FierceJetPressureWash.com has products, tells you all this, everything about them. You can find a distributor, and if there's a place on it for distributors that want to become distributors on there, they leave their information. It comes right to us, and we usually reach out within a few hours, if not sooner. And that's it, man. It gives you a whole list of everybody that sells our stuff and where you can get it from, so you can find the closest place to you.
Awesome.
Yeah. So lastly, I'll add before we get off, Scott, I know, will be at Trudy's event in November.
Yep.
You'll see us at the PWMCA event in February in Kissimmee, Florida. You'll always see us at the huge convention, so we look forward to seeing folks. And if you're there, walk up, talk to us, ask us questions. We love interacting with folks.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. It's been a pleasure.
We appreciate it, man.
Take care, man.
All right.
Have
Well, we'll call it there.
All right. See you guys.
Alrighty.
Thanks,
All right.
man.